Oh my God.
Great. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this talk. I can see we are now live on Facebook and here on Zoom. That's good to see that you are all tuning in. My name is Galit, and I am from the Jødisk Informationscenter. And today is the very first day of WorldPride 21, and which is held in Copenhagen. And that means that the next 10 days, there would be a lot of events around Copenhagen celebrating equality and diversity and inclusion. And this talk today is a part of the official Pride program and is sponsored by the Israeli embassy in Denmark. And all the way from Israel, we today have Hadar Rashlin. Welcome to you.
Hi.
And we are very happy to have you all the way from Israel. We are happy that we can do it thanks to Zoom. We can do it also with Corona and difficulties with traveling between the countries.
Yeah.
And as I said, Hadar, you're from Israel, and in your daily life, you work in an intercompany. And what's also relevant for today is that you are bisexual and your wife is a transgendered woman, and together you have children. And you will talk more about you and your life. And also you're spending a lot of time in the organization Bat Kol, which you would also talk more about. And you will give your more personal story about being bisexual and religious Jew at the same time. Because these terms I said, like inclusion and diversity, is kind of broad terms, but today we want to give more like a personal angle and more specific about Judaism and LGBT. So I'm so happy you're here, Hadar, and
Thank you.
We'll talk for about 45 minutes, and afterwards there would be time for questions. So feel free to ask questions to Hadar. If you're watching on Facebook, you can write it as a comment under the video, and if you're watching on Zoom, you can write it down here in the Q&A function below. And please use a respectful language when you comment and ask questions. That's very important. And in the end of the talk, I will give the questions to Hadar and we will have a discussion about that. But let's get started. A big welcome to all of you. Happy first day of Pride, World Pride. And yeah, the floor is yours, Hadar.
So first of all, thank you for being here. It's really my pleasure. And I'm really excited, and English is not my native language, so I am sorry if I will get stuck with words or stuff like that. Galit forgot to tell we are religious Orthodox. It's part of the story and the conflict, so I will tell more about it later, but now I will start with my story. So I grew up in an ultra-Orthodox education at the beginning, but my parents left the community and they were just like regular religious people in Israel, which is like less extreme. But their opinions were very conservative, and it was really like not open-minded at all, like the environment and everything. And when I was 16, I moved to high school, and there was like a new student in the class. Her name was Tamara, and she was really like different. She was really tall and blue eyes, which is kind of rare in Israel. And she was really interesting. The music she heard and everything. And it was like the first time that I felt I want to be close to someone. I remember I was looking up on her Facebook photos, and one of my friends told me, "Wow, Hadar, you're like really stalking her. It looks like you have a crush on her." And then I heard the coin fell on the floor, and I was like, "Oh my God, that's the way I feel. Oh my God." And I was really afraid because I didn't know if anyone was gay, and I had a lot of prejudice and bad opinions because of my education, family, and I started to feel really bad about myself, like why God gave me this curse. I'm not crazy. I'm not gay. There's no way that I'm gay. And I remember I called to one of my friends, and I hid in the closet, really like a literally closet, because I didn't want my parents to hear me. And she told me like, "Okay, so you're lesbian, that's fine." And I was like, "No, you should not call me lesbian. I mean, it's a bad word. I'm not a lesbian. I'm a normal. I'm normal." And I remember it was really hard time for me, and I was a very geek and quiet and good girl, and I always told my parents where I'm going, and I'm like, "I'm going to my friend Danielle, and I'm gonna be home at 7. I mean, I didn't hide anything. I didn't hide anything from them. Like really, really good and shy. And one of the girls in high school, she told me that I have a gay vibe. I didn't know what it means, but one thing led to another, and I went on a date with her, and everything was really like it was a secret. I didn't tell anyone, and that was my first relation with a woman. And I remember I was walking with her in the street, and every time I saw someone, I was like jumping into the tree, behind the tree, because I was afraid someone will see me and tell my parents, and it was really complicated times, but it felt real. And when all of my friends have posters of boy bands and stuff like that in their rooms, I didn't see why they do that, because boys are stupid, and I don't feel anything for them. And we started to go to a youth club for gay teenagers in Tel Aviv. It was every time Shabbat, like Saturday evening, and one of the time I went there alone, and I was sitting outside with like the cool guys, because they were smoking a cigarette, and I was like, oh, they're the cool guys. And we were sitting outside in like the garden of the place, and we heard some really loud noises, and we thought something with the electricity went down inside the building, but then we saw a man walking out from the building, and he had a mask on his face, and he was pointing a gun on us, and he started to shoot us, and that's the noise we heard. And it was in 2009 in August, and I was running outside of the building with my 5 friends, and I was the only one that could escape. And I was hiding inside the restaurant next to the building for like half an hour. And all I thought was, oh my God, this restaurant is not kosher. Why am I in? Why am I kosher? I mean, that's what came through my mind. And when I went out, there were a lot of ambulances and police and curious people. It was really like a mess, and it apparently there was an anonymous man came in and just tried to kill gay teenagers. And this led me to, it pushed me to go out of the closet, actually, because this night I was at my friend's house, and we looked in the internet to see who is healthy and who got hurt and who died, and there was no Facebook and WhatsApp and stuff like that. It was all in MSN Messenger. It was like a big group, and we didn't know what's happening with everybody in the place. And then friends were dead, were killed. One was my friend, and one was like the counselor of the place. And the next morning we went to their funerals. So I came home and I took like candles, because we light candles in funerals. And my mother asked me, are you going to the funerals of the sick people that I saw on TV? And I was like, no, I just bye. I mean, I didn't know what to tell her, but I tried to hide, and it didn't work out so good. And my parents started to suspect me. And at this time, I didn't tell them where I'm going. I mean, every time I went to my girlfriend, I was just telling them, I'm going out. Where are you going, Hadar? Out. I'll be until tomorrow. I will come back. Don't worry. And they was like, okay, maybe she's doing drugs. She's using drugs, right? That's what she's doing. So one day I took the bus inside the small city that I grew up in, and they followed the bus to see where I'm going. And when I got out of the bus, my girlfriend was waiting for me, and she kissed me. And then I got a text message from my father, and he wrote something like, you can come back to our home, but you do everything in our conditions, or you can leave the house and stay where you are. This is your choices. And I'm 17, I will stay a few days outside and then you will take me back and everything will be fine. But the days came by and I went to my house to take some clothes because I didn't have anything on me. And I saw that my father changed all the locks in the house and I couldn't get in. And I didn't really know what to do. So I stayed at my girlfriend's house and I went to school like every day, like regular. But after a week or so, one of my teachers, she took me out of the classroom and she told me, Hadar, are you okay? Because you're wearing the same clothes every day and you don't have all the all the pencils and the notebooks, and why? Is everything okay? And I was like, I kind of walk out of the closet in front of my parents and they don't want me to get home, never mind, something like that. And then she told me, okay, get in the class, I will come back later to talk to you. And after 45 minutes, she came and took me from the classroom to the principal office, and there are a lot of people from school and inside the office, and they told me, Hadar, this is a religious place and we have no room for you here because the way of the Torah is living with a man, and we can't bring into school your sexuality. It's wrong, and all of the other will learn from you and you will be like a bad influence. So I'm sorry, but you can't stay here anymore. So at that moment, I was without high school and I couldn't get into my parents' house and I really didn't know what to do. But the social services in my city actually, because 17 and you need to stay with your parents until you're 18. They are responsible on you until you're 18 in Israel. So the social services forced my parents to bring me back home, at least until my 18th birthday. And it was a really bad time. I mean, my father didn't talk about it at all. He didn't talk. And my mother was like, I didn't educate you to be gay. I didn't educate you to be gay. What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? I saw the lesbians in TV. They cut their hair and they do drugs and they're like really sick. They need treatment. And after that, she went to like and more, I don't know how to say it, like a mild attitude. And she told me, Hadar, don't worry. It's just like a teenager thing, and it's a phase, and it will pass. You will grow up and it will pass. It's like drinking, it's like smoking. So your lesbianism will pass. And I was counting the days to get out of the house, like really counting the days until I be 18. And at this time, they put me in a secular high school, which was really weird because it was the first time I was studying with boys. And I remember also in religious high school, they called the teacher, they called her the teacher. And in the secular, it's like, Dana, can you help me with something? I mean, all the rules were different, and I saw guys and girls making out together, and it was really weird for me because I didn't used to that. And at this time, I decided to not be religious anymore because I thought, if God created me this way and this is not the way of Torah, so I shouldn't continue to be religious. So I try to live my life as secular, and it was like really like all the things you're doing as teenagers. I did when I was 18 to 20, all the parties and alcohol and makeouts and stuff like that. And at this time I served in the IDF, in the army, and I was in the Mission Corps, and I was a graphic designer, which was really nice. It was the farthest thing the first thing from being in the army. I mean, I work on Macintosh and I did stuff in Photoshop, and I didn't feel like a soldier, actually. So it was really nice and calm, and it was good time, but I started to have like a PTSD, like post-trauma from the shooting event. And that's something that is always in my mind. I mean, every time I go to Tel Aviv, I think the man after me at the line in the supermarket is going to me. And I know it's kind of fucked up, but I can't help it. And at the end of my service, I met one of the officers. This is the first time I met with men that were like delicate and intellectual, and I didn't think they're like monkeys. I thought men are like really aggressive, and I was afraid of monkeys. I mean, the monkeys, they're the men, and that's part of the separate education that I got. And one of the officers, he started to me a lot, and then we decided to go out together, and we went on a date. And that was the first time I started to realize that I'm bisexual, because the way I felt to women was really similar to what I felt with him, and it also felt real. So bisexual. And it didn't work out, and we broke up. But then a few months later, I moved to Jerusalem to study in the university, and then I started to date someone in the university, and he was like religious and like the perfect husband, the perfect man to bring home to your parents. And my parents were so happy, and they told me, "You see, it was just a phase, Hadar, and you're okay. You're cured." And we almost got married, but I canceled it like 2 weeks before, because I revealed something about him that was really disturbing. And then I started to date another man. He was secular, and my parents were like, "Okay, it's a man, it's alive, it have a pulse in the heart, so it's fine. As long as it's man, you can be with him, Hadar. We're really proud of you, okay?" And it didn't really work out with him also, because I came back to be religious. But that time I did it for myself, because religious is really like a social thing. And I was always afraid from the thoughts about other people about me. I mean, if I walk with a short sleeve, so maybe people would think I trying to tempt the boys. I don't know. And then I said, okay, I religious is really a part of me. It's like an organ in my body, and I'm going back to be religious, but I do it for myself and not to please anyone. And he was secular, so we broke up. And then I met Yael, which is my wife, and has a really interesting story herself, but it's too long. But I'll just make a long story short. She's transgendered. She's also religious. She has 3 kids from previous marriage, and I started to date with her, and I went to a date with her, and I don't want any more games. I want to settle down. So I'm gonna ask you some questions about the future now, and if it's right and it fits, so we can move on to the next step, to the next stage. And it was like a really, like, that's how Orthodox people are going to date. They've about the education and how many kids do you want and where do you want to live, and it's like really practical. So I asked her all the question. Do you want any more kids? Where do you want to live? In the big city or like in a village? Do you want the education to be religious but liberal, or like more conservative? I mean, I asked her like everything, and every other man would escape from all this questioning, but she was like, yes, I want more children. Yes, I want to live in a small town. And then I remember I was imagining like a checklist in my head, and I was like V, like that. And it was really happy time. And three weeks after that, I proposed to her, and my parents heard about it, and my father called me to talk with me, and I came to my parents' house, and he was like, Hadar, this is the worst option you can have. A divorced man with kids. I mean, what are you thinking? You try to ruin my life. You're trying to make me sick. And I try to explain to him that she is amazing, and it's the first time that I feel really like whole, like the puzzle is complete. And he was like, no, I'm trying to cure from cancer. He has cancer in his lungs at this time, and you're trying to make my situation worse. And how can I tell it to your grandma? She will die at the place. And at this time, Yael was sitting in the living room, and my mother was questioning her in like really weird questions, like, are you addicted to drugs? And Yael is like, no. You drink alcohol? No. You smoke cigarettes? No. So are you addicted? You're sure addicted to something? And Yael was like, yeah, maybe to candies, haha. Like goofing around. And my mother was like, I knew, because of you, my daughter is fat. You give her candies. And Yael was like, oh my God, what does this woman want from me? And then my mother started to ask her, if you're religious, why are you wearing pants and not a skirt? Like, it's like really old-minded thinking. And it was really traumatic for her, also for me. But I was telling my father, I'm 24. It's my life. You raised me, and now it's my turn to live my life. So take it or leave it. If you want to lose your daughter, so don't accept me and Yael, I don't care. And I mean, 2 months later, my father came to our engagement party, and he was standing at the side, and I didn't really see him. But the next day, he called me and told me that he was there, and he saw the look at my eyes and the look on Yael, and he saw that is really she really makes me feel good, and it's the right thing for me. And it was like someone took out stones from my body. I mean, I felt light again. I felt happy again because I didn't worry about my family. I mean, my father and my mother. She was needed a longer time to accept it, but we still have a really complicated contact because she accepts Yael, but not as a woman. She accepts her as a man, and she really supporting like very strict gender roles. So every time she meet Yael, she tells her, you're not the mother of the children, you're the father, and you don't know how to be a mother. A mother is a different thing. And so we don't really have a good connection. And yeah, I got married in a very exciting and very exciting ceremony, and all of our friends were there, and it was like a gay religious wedding. It was fun. And 2 months after that, I got pregnant, and then I had Jordan, it's my big boy, and I have also Hillel, which is almost 1 year old, and they're really, really cute. And that's the first time in Israel that 2 women bring a biological kid together, like genetically biological for the both of us, because she preserved her fertility, and we got the opportunity to have children together. So we had a lot of fights with bureaucracy about to list them in the ID of Yael and stuff, but we kind of like build the way for other people. And now we live next to Jerusalem. We have a really open Orthodox community. We are undetachable part of it, and we live a good life. We have conflicts, of course, because our gay friends, they say to us we are not gay enough, and our religious friends say we are not religious enough, because it's written in the Torah about about the gays. It's written in the Torah, and that is wrong, and it's complicated. Anyway, so now we are in a good place, and our family is not around us, but we have family from choice, which is a lot of people from organization named Bat Kol. And it's really important when you are religious, because all of the holidays and once a week in Shabbat, you don't have your phone to communicate, and if you don't have family, you're alone. But we weren't alone for the whole time, because so many friends, and we were doing Shabbats and holidays and vacations together, and if someone needs help with something, we are like a family, like a real family. And I want to tell more about Bat Kol. So it's the only women organization in Israel that are for gay women, and it established in 2005. At the start, it was only for lesbians, but we made the process in the last 2 years, and now it's for all the identity spectrums. I mean, bisexual, queer, non-binary, trans, even trans men, because some of them, they're going to the events of Bat Kol as lesbians at the beginning, and then they start to come out of the closet as a man. So we actually have all the spectrum of all the gender identity also, and we have 600 members almost, and you can see people that are post-religious, like ex-religious, and people that are more conservative, and people are ultra orthodox, like women that married to a man and they live in the closet and have like 12 kids, and they come secretly to meetings. So you can see everything, and it's really interesting and diverse, and it's really meaningful organization because it saves life. It's like a lot of people from the religious society that don't have access to information about gays, and more specifically in religious gays. So our organization, we established like a support line that people can call, and then we can help with to help with the lawyer. I mean, if they want to get divorced and know their rights, we have psychologists. We can adopting families. I mean, me, Yael, and I, we are opening our house to other families to come, and we host them in holidays, and we do like a lot of important activities at the organization. And now we have a new government, and we got some support from the government, from the Ministry of Social Equality, which is really new, and it's the first time that the government support like religious gays at all time, and it's amazing. We even have a few rabbis, Orthodox rabbis, that support us and can counsel women that to take some advices, and it's also a new thing in the Jewish Orthodox society. And I think that's it. That's me. This is Bat Kol, and that's my story. So thank you for listening, and I'm here to answer your questions. So yeah.
Thank you, Hadar.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your talk and for opening up, for your openness, and for giving an insight in a topic you don't know. A lot of people don't know much about the ultra-Orthodox and the LGBT life and conditions around that. As I said in the beginning, you're more than welcome to ask questions, all of you that are watching. You can write it as a comment if you're watching on Facebook, and or write it down in the Q&A function below here. And you can ask about Hadar's story or Bat Kol or whatever you thought about. You can also have a comment about something, and then I will give the question to Hadar.
Yeah.
And
don't be afraid to ask anything, because I heard like the worst questions, okay? So don't be shy.
Good to know. So I thought of a few things when you were talking, and also when we talked before today. today you said that you had a period in your life where you didn't, where you were not religious, where you came out of the being ultra-Orthodox. And
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear more about your way back into being religious again. What was there some kind of turning point event, or some things that made you come back to being religious?
So after I finished with the IDF, I had a year that between the university and the army, and at this time I was working, but I was also studying like in a secular yeshiva, like a secular studies, and I started to learn more about all the colors of Judaism, and it was like it was equal part between men and women at the secular yeshiva, because until then women were I didn't think women are allowed to study from Gemara, and at the secular yeshiva, that was the first time I was learning Gemara, and it was like really interesting, and I really got access to a lot of stuff from Judaism that I didn't think I'm allowed to get access to. And I was seeing like a more positive side of Judaism and more acceptance, and I was like really missing it. When I was secular, I felt like something is empty inside of me. Like I'm not completed, you know. I'm not 100%. So it was gradually, but then I was saying I'm going to keep that again and pray, and I felt more whole and connected with God. Even when I was secular, I thought I think the fact that I think God hates me, I still think he exists, even if he hates me. So I was going back to religious, but I stayed like in the really liberal side of Orthodox Judaism, and that's the place I'm today. So it's a good place. It's like really balanced place for me.
Yeah. Okay. Are there some? You mentioned there is in the Torah, it said something about that a man and a man cannot be together, and all these things. But are there some places also in the Torah or in the interpretations or some of the holy texts where there are some passages or some places where you can find inspiration as a bisexual woman? I know not directly, but is there some passages that make sense for you in that? I don't know if it's too big question, but
no, it has a really simple answer, because at the time people were writing the Torah or the interpretations, there was no women. So they didn't talk about women. So it's like more of a gray zone. So I didn't have an actual problem, because it's not, even when there is one philosopher named Maimonides, the Ramban, and he was talking about that it's a foreign doing for two girls to be together. It's like something Jewish women should not do, but it's not from the Torah. It's like the interpretation of the interpretation of the interpretation. So that's not really relevant. And also about the writing in the Torah about two men were not allowed to be together. It's talking only about the act. It didn't say anything about identity. I mean, a 14 years old man, teenage that realized about himself that he's gay. He didn't realize it because he was walking down the street, having intercourse with men, and realized it. It's an identity, first of all. I mean, gay people can marry to a woman if they want, but the identity not disappeared to anywhere. So it has nothing about being gay, just only on doing stuff that even straight men can do. I mean, so a lot of the supporting rabbis, they speak on this point a lot, because there is no talking about your attraction at the Torah at all. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's only the actual act that's forbidden, but not the identity and the feeling of all the other things.
Really? Yeah, and also having a relationship with your partner is something that is really intimate, and you do it in your room, and no one should have interest in what's happening in this room. It's not relevant to anyone. So people that are not supporting the gays because of this reason, it's like really, it's really stupid, because their excuse for hate is those acts, but they're not supposed to peek inside people's private room and try to find stuff like that. I mean, you can't really know anything about it. I have 2 gay friends that they are religious, and I know they're gay. I know they are together. They're like married. Actually, Yael was like the anchor of the wedding, and they don't do the actual act from the Torah. So you can find ways to be gay and religious, but people has to find ways to be more acceptant and to contain the other. It's really important lesson for life at all aspects. So yeah,
definitely. So I want to remind you who are watching that you're welcome to send questions. If you want to, just write it as a comment here on Zoom or on Facebook. But I have something else I want to ask you about, Hadar, about the Bat Kol, because as you said a bit, that Judaism is kind of binary, a lot of man, woman, a lot of rules, and
black and white,
like a lot of religions are, of course, based on rules. And a lot of most of the Orthodox synagogues have also separated men and women, and there are some practices made for men and so on. It's very divided in the sexes, between the sexes. So I was interested in, does Bat Kol has its own synagogue, or do you have some examples of synagogues embracing embracing people that doesn't fit into this binary system?
I mean, you mean like synagogues without like the separation between men and women?
Yeah.
So there are more in the big cities like Jerusalem, because there are a lot of American Jews in Jerusalem. They brought like more liberal approach. So you can find like a synagogue, the place for the women and the men is like an equal surface, and the Chazan, the one that reads the Torah, is in the middle, so everyone has access to that. You can find synagogues that it's equal at all. I mean, there is no separation between them, and you can sit with your family. And those synagogues are the one that accept all the LGBTQ community, and they are more feminist, which is important. But a lot of synagogues that have the separation, they still accept the gay community, and they just want to keep the tradition. I mean, so if you live in Jerusalem, you have the privilege to go to one of those synagogues, because in Israel, the Orthodox society is really strict. It's really strict. So you try to find some solutions, and it's really hard to accept them. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But we have a specific gay synagogues, but when we do events in the gay religious community, we have pray together, and then of course everyone can sit with everyone, because the essence of the separation is to not think about the other sex while you're praying. But if I sit next to my wife, so it just missed the point. So it's not really relevant.
Yeah. That makes sense. Okay, so we have also here a question from the audience. Someone writing, maybe Hadar could elaborate on the experience of raising children in the religious world as a LGBT family.
So actually, yeah, and we chose to live here because we heard about the liberal community that this place has. And most of our friends here are religious, and also mixed couple, when the man is religious and the woman is not, and stuff like that. And it's kind of natural, because all of our friends, they won't go to the Pride parade, but they don't see us as a gay identity, as like Hadar, like a whole human being. So it's really more easy to accept, specifically when they meet me and they see that I'm just like everyone else. So there is no problem with that, and our synagogue is really protecting us. If there will be hate speeches or something, the rabbi will throw those people from the synagogue. There is no place for that. And also it's written in the Torah, "Ve'ahavta l'recha kamocha," which is said you should love everyone like you love yourself. And God created me as exactly the way He created anyone else. So we have friends, and our children are at the same ages of our friends and of our friends' children. And I don't know, we go to the park together, we do camping together. I mean, when the children ask why does Yarden has two mothers, so his mother told him, sometimes a girl loves a girl, and then they got married, like me and your father did. And children, they don't involve all the politics inside. So it was a small children, he was 4-year-old, and was like, oh, okay, and continue with his life, and that's that's all he needed to hear. I mean, we are not trying to make an agenda on the account of these kids. We just said, and I also leave it to their parents to educate them. But they say it really naturally, because you don't want your children to grow up, and if they feel different, to hide it or to hurt yourself. You want them to know that the world has very and it's okay to know other people, and not everyone needs to be exactly like you. It will be like really boring, and it's an important tool for life, to accept and respect other people. So
yeah,
it's not that complicated, specifically with children, because even if someone think I'm doing something against the Torah, blame it on my children. They're so small and naive, and they did nothing to him. So it kind of like a good way to eliminate people from my life. I mean, you take me as I am, or you can leave. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just myself. I go to synagogue with kids. We watch Star Wars in the TV together. We do the dishes. I mean, we're like really regular people.
Yeah.
We're just two women. That's all. So
yeah.
People just need to know us as a person, and not like as a stigma, like a stereotype. We're a lot of people inside the community, and we have more identities, and people just need to see that we are human beings. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a bigger question about meeting people with respect. And it's also interesting with the children. It underlines that prejudice is something you learn and not born.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And also the young children, it's like a whole new generation. They were born to neutrality. I mean, more accepting, and it's not something I grew up with, but they see it. So
yeah,
it's natural to them.
Yeah. Maybe there will not be more questions from the audience. We can end with kind of a forward perspective, as you said, also that you for the first time got a contribution from the government.
Yeah.
Kind of acknowledgement also, right? That it's important what you're doing. So do you feel that it's a general movement towards, like in Israel in general, maybe also among religious, but also in general, is there a movement of being more accepting of rainbow families? And
yeah, definitely you can see the process. I mean, our country is Jewish, like it's formal rule in Israel, but being Jewish doesn't mean being Orthodox. It means being Jewish. And actually, since Benjamin Netanyahu is no longer a prime minister, so the government is really more into human rights. You can see also in the parliament that there are members in the parliament who are deaf. They can't hear, people wheelchair. Our minister of health is gay. I mean, it's kind of new and refreshing, and the support from the government is new to us, and you can see it in the secular society. You can really see everyone accepting it. The general society is more accepting, and in the Orthodox, you can see it like splitting to two ways. Some people choose to be more liberal, and some are trying to be like more ultra-Orthodox. But I think they do it because they are afraid, because the reality is changing in front of their eyes, and they like try to smother. I mean, they try to raise their children in separated settlements, and to expose them only to religious people, and they're really afraid that their reality is changing, so they try to be more extreme. So it's kind of being more polarized inside the religious society also. But at the end, they will have no choice because we are here and we are your daughters and sons, and if you want it or not. I mean, this is the reality. You can accept your family, you can not accept your family, it's your choice, but you probably want to accept your family. You created your family, you should. It's something that I learned with the parenthood. Like, you can't really dictate a lifetime for your children, because they're different individuals and they have their choices and their identities, and you can't imagine in your head, like, yeah, he will finish high school and go to university and get married, then I have my grandchildren, blah blah blah, everything is perfect. It's not like that. They have their own will, and sometimes, most of the times, it's different from my will, and people should accept that. I hope I answered it right.
Yeah, you did. And in a perfect way, you lifted it up to a more broader message, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's also why Pride Week is for inclusion and diversity and equality, because it's a bigger question. It's not just about being gay or lesbian. It's about accepting
having equal rights and equal treatment from the society. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, thank you so much, Hadar, for giving a personal perspective, but also the perspectives of Bat Kol, and coming around different angles on the topic. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you really much.
And thank you all for watching also this talk tonight. I will really recommend you all to check out the official program of the World Pride Week here in Copenhagen the next 10 days. There are hundreds of events online and also physical around Copenhagen and Denmark. And they have an app called Copenhagen 2021 where you can find it all, but of course also on their webpage and on the Facebook page. And I want to also thank the Israeli embassy in Denmark for making this talk possible. And again, to you, Hadar, thank you very much for your openness and for being here. Toda rabah.
You're welcome. And thank you for hearing me, listen to me. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I wish you all a good Pride and a good evening.
Yeah. Bye. Happy holiday. Chag Sameach.
Happy holiday.
Thank you.